Well, I had a bone tumor, and I was told it was cancer, but ultimately it didn't turn out to be that. But it was definitely a big shock and very low point in my life till the time I got it operated. And
So, like, you'd say that like it helped you appreciate more after you found out
of
that.
course, of course.
Yep. And what would you say was the highest point in your life?
When I had my children,
Yes. Oh yeah.
my son is 26. He's in Colombia.
Oh, wow. There's been a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys. And, the best thing that you always have to remember when you're in a valley, there's always a peak that's coming. So,
Can you share what your highest point is? If you
probably the birth of my son and my son's successes. He's 32 now.
I think of like when I was like a teenager and I was just super depressed and I was just really scared of death. I thought about it every day and I was afraid that when you die you become nothing, and that freaked me out so much that I could almost not think about anything else. How did that? I mean, that's how it affected me. Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you start like being faithful to?
I mean, basically, like you could say that it's not exactly like that, but I had I had a spiritual experience, and it became very true to me that I was not only my body. And I stopped worrying about death.
What would what would be the highest point in your life? If you're willing to share?
A few years ago, pretty recent. Past couple years have been pretty rough, but yeah, around 2017, very strong year for me. Just getting a lot done and like helping a lot of people.
Ce que j'ai vécu de pire, c'est quand tu as des personnes qui sont proches de toi dans la vie et puis qu'elles vont pas bien et que tu peux pas les aider parce que c'est à elles de se prendre en main. Il y a des choses que tu peux pas porter pour les autres et quand tu te sens impuissant, je trouve que c'est ce qu'on peut ressentir de pire.
How did it affect you and change you?
I think the lowest point in my life was when my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. It made us shift our priorities, taking care of him, making sure that he's in good hands, and becoming grateful every day to be healthy and to be out there.
What would you say was the highest point so far?
The birth of my daughter 6 months ago.
What was the lowest point in your life, and how did it change and affect you, and maybe change your perspective in life?
Um, Moving to New York was tough. I left behind a lot of family and friends, but I realized that they're always still there for me, and that if I keep working and plan trips back to where I'm from, then I'm able to keep it going and still lead a happy life even though I'm not where I'm comfortable.
How did it change and affect you?
Oh my goodness. I'm Vanessa. The lowest point in my life had to be when my mother passed away. It affected me, a great deal, and I really didn't understand how much it did when, until my friends kind of reached out and was like, "Are you okay?" I was thinking I was being normal, but, out of my own space, or I'll say body. But I've learned, I've looked within my life and it's made me stronger of who I am today, and that's been a blessing. Thank you.
So the lowest point in my life is when it was in 2020. My brother's best friend killed him because I grew up with him and I knew him. You know what I'm saying? So like, he lived in Atlanta and I lived in New York still. So when I got the phone call and I went down there, they found out like 2 days later who it was, and it affected me because it made me not be able to trust the people around me because I grew up with him. And my brother was a year and a half younger than me, and I'm 30. You know what I'm saying? So we grew up for a long time together. So for him to do that, it changed the way I saw the world in terms of who I can trust. It made me it started to make me reevaluate my own instinct. You know what I'm saying? And as a man, that's dangerous.
What was the lowest point in your life, and how did it change and affect you to become who you are today?
Okay, lowest point. I don't know if there's any particular low point, but I mean, again, what do I do now? I sing and play guitar in my underwear. I try to stay in the best shape of my life. I want to be rich and famous. So on the opposite things, the things that have created that drive. When I was a kid, I was anorexic, like I had an eating disorder. I thought I was fat when I wasn't. So I had literally gotten so thin I wouldn't eat. I had IVs in my arm. I was in a hospital, and I still thought I was the fattest guy in the world. There was a worldwide conspiracy to make me into a blimp when I was a skeleton. So that would have been, but over time, learning how to eat better and everything else, I still am just as consistently worried about my weight and everything as anybody else, but I've turned that into who I am today. Financially, same thing. I was strapped broke, trying to be famous, doing everything in the world, spending endless money and everything else. Now I'm rich and successful, so the same thing. It's always been, so I'd say, again, my point is that all the low points are the reason why I created a high point. So you need low points. You need to hit rock bottom sometimes. Hopefully you can get inspiration and stuff not to go that far down. You don't have to. But my message to anybody be, read some good like Tony Robbins or some Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, some motivational, get the idea that you can be whatever you want and stop wherever you are and start going on a trajectory that goes forward. I mean, because if you really want to live, feel the way I feel, you gotta whip out your balls of steel. And you have to have the balls to do it. Most people don't have the balls to do it, but you just gotta believe in yourself and go for it.